Okay, we are now, this is day 2, this is all cured and, well, shiny. Just a little bit. We want to minimize the amount of gold dust in the resin, if possible. That is delicious. I've made this as close to the body blank size as possible because I don't want to waste resin because, you know, that would be a waste. And I now want to seal it. So I'm going to cut around the outside so that I know where it is, and then I'll be able to tack nails in to give it a little bit more strength. And then I'm going to seal it with sealant and tape and all sorts of stuff because we don't want leaks. Masking tape. We are partway there. Tape to seal everything. I do not want a leak. So that is now entirely sealed, and the last thing I want is to pour a load of resin in and it just goes sploosh. I now also do not want my blanks to float. So I'm actually going to stick them down with some of this caulking. So yeah, you'll be there. Let's start with this piece actually. So sealant around the edge, around the whole edge, and that should reduce bubbles. This is my first resin build, by the way. Like so, this, that stuff. This is one of the worst caulking guns I've ever used in my life. Okay, and then it's just so awkward. That should seal the whole thing. So the question really occurs to me is, do I want to also go in now with a caulking gun and seal around the edges so that we don't have anything that goes in here? Fine. Aha! My drill doesn't have a home, which means I never know where to find the damn thing. Ta-da! Well, I'm going to leave you here because I now have to do some Instagram posts and film what's on the bench and stuff like that. So check out Crimson Guitars on Instagram. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to leave this to cure overnight, actually over a long weekend, to be truthful. And when I get back, the resin shall be poured and everything is going to go smoothly and wonderfully. Touch wood. Here's where we're at. What do you think? I am there. This is gonna happen now. My workbench is somewhat protected. My coffee is ready. I've got protection. I've just sealed along the bottom edge of the gold leaf. Oh, this is gonna be so pretty. So pretty. Camera, set up. Camera, set up. We're gonna mix some resin. It's coming up on winter now. This whole thing is temperature sensitive. We've had a heater going next to the Ecopoxy, kindly supplied by House of Resin, who are actually a local company to us. They're massive, but local. It's awesome. We've had the heater going. It's nice and warm in here. I have got this red tub here, which we're filling up with water. I'm going to mix about 1800 ml, we guess, i.e. 3 of these worth, of Ecopoxy, mix it all together and then warm it up in a bath of water till it gets to about 30 degrees, and then comes the pour. It feels like there is a whole hell of a lot of preparation prior to actually, getting on with the job, but it's all good. First of all, tack rag, just to make absolutely certain that this is nice and clear. Tack rag. We're going to mix it. On the back of the container, it says that you should warm up the resin itself up to about 30 degrees beforehand. If you mix them like I am going to do, there's a chance of speeding up the curing time. You've got 8-hour pot time, 72-hour curing time, and quite frankly, I want it to be curing slightly faster so that I can be watching it for bubbles and stuff. I'm so paranoid that I'm going to get something wrong at this stage. Fun time. Okay, so that's the hardener. 2 parts resin, 1 part hardener. Do not make that mistake. So for ease of use, I've got 3 pots. We're going for 1800 ml. We're not doing it by weight, we're doing it by measurements on these. and there's going to be some mixing involved. And if necessary, I can do some more in a bit. This is so fun. Scintillating viewing, yes? I feel like a mad scientist. It's literally 1 to 2. But it feels incredible. There we go. This is the point of no return. So we're trying to get rid of those streaks. I'm not sure if you can see them. But mix until that's all done. And then when they're done, mix for another minute. Okay, so I've just found a few little bits of crystalline resin in the bottom of the bucket that you could see. And those have come off it's partially cured resin from around the spout of the bottle. So we're going to warm up the resin to about 30 degrees. We have a thermometer. We're then going to decant from here into different pots. We'll be able to see if there's anything. Make sure it's nice and mixed and good. And then from there, we're going to pour into our river guitar of goldness and awesomeness. So we've obviously lost about 20 mil or so on the size of the bucket. Just is what it is. But I'm glad I did this because there was definitely some in there. There we go. Okay, and here we go. Now the beautiful thing about this resin is that you can have, it's technically rated for I think a 30 mil pour, but you can do up to 60 mil. We've done tests and it works fine. So we can do this in one shot. And it's just incredible. So, well, I'm going to fill. My gosh. And the guitar comes to life. The amazing thing is we have exactly the right amount of resin. Now some of it's going to soak into the wood, of course, and replace some bits and pieces, but it'll be good. Okay, so now what I need to do is play with fire. Just because, you know, I fancy it. Black and gold. Okay, so I am incredibly happy with how this has turned out, although we are not there yet. We are not there yet by a long shot. What I'm going to do is stand here for the next 7 or 8 hours with that, and every time I see a big bubble, I'm going to use the heat to get rid of it. I think, however, that all things considered, let's have a close-up. That's how much or how close the resin is to to the edge of my mould because I went a little bit too far one way. Now, remember, this is not your average resin build. We have interesting plans for the neck, and I'm going to be carving this as if it were a sort of standard Les Paul type guitar. So none of your flat top, easy, boring, normal looking stuff for me. I like a challenge. That sounded really arrogant. I just like a challenge. If you're not living really close to total and utter disaster, then there's really no point, is there now? Anyway, I'm happy. I hope you are. Let me know in the comments below. I see and reply to most. This is another day. The resin, this is a 72-hour cure on this Ecopoxy stuff from House of Resin. And it is still sticky, still tacky. In fact, I just put my hand down on some sticky, tacky bit on my bench. Need to clean that up. However, there are no bubbles. Single pour. That's about 60 millimeters deep. And, well, that's my ceiling. Actually, this is my favorite shot. Here we go. Have a look. Look. Just there. Turak. Oh no, that's even better. Look at that. Oh, and here is the, so you can see where it's shrunk a little bit. So it's higher on the wood than it is in the cavities, which is fine because I'm carving it, remember? But we have no bubbles, it's all good. So we're about 48 hours into a 72-hour cure, so it's still a little bit pliable, shall we say. Okay. So, okay, so this tape means that we should be able to just tap the whole thing off. Hammers. Crimson Guitars, dead below, fretting hammer. I don't want to do this. This is like the... Oh, do you know what I need to do? Fool did not take the screws out. Hold on. Come on. How's this for scintillating viewing? I'm really struggling with this screw. It must be the resin. Fine, whatever. I don't know why I didn't do that first time. Just wondering. I don't know what I'm doing. That's coming. I made my mold too well. It's official. I've done one labor. It's taped up on the inside, on the outside, the whole thing. That came off there very nicely. It's also nailed. I'm gonna make something, I'm gonna make it proper. So yeah, it's just really well put together. I didn't want it to fall apart. Fine, whatever. Okay, so that's sort of released. Oh, that looks so cool. Oh. Not a problem. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Let's take a break.
Okay.
2-second break. We have a thing. It's a thing, and it's full of thingness. It's so golden. Crikey, look at that. Just look at that. Now we get to guitar building. This has been the longest preamble to actually start the build, but it's going to be worth it. Yeah, I think we've avoided total and utter failure in the initial stages. We were worried, I was worried, that the gold leaf would not be strong enough to hold the two pieces together, as it were, but it's just craggly enough or porous enough or whatever that it's just done what it's supposed to do. We have a blank. I'm going to chop out a guitar shape and start carving. And yeah. So fun.